Oh, yeah.
That was the first thing I checked.
So
Very first thing I did.
So now we're just waiting for Tracy?
Way to throw that out there.
Wow.
Well, I just wanted to explain in case anyone is watching why we're not.
We're not waiting for Jay.
Well, Jay's not going to be. Oh, did you get a reply from Tracy?
No.
I saw her.
Oh, okay.
Where's Jay? I just saw him in town like an hour ago.
I have no idea.
Yeah, there's something important.
I understand.
Yeah, he didn't say. And Tim didn't either. He's not here. So,
Sometimes.
Yeah, I didn't think Jay was coming tonight.
No,
No.
just no. Jay and Tim are gone, so that's why we're waiting for Tracy. And we would have been waiting for Anton, but then we called him.
Oh, I was
Oh, you're
playing
coming?
soccer.
Oh.
And I said I have. It's
Good for you.
I
Are you
knew he was
coaching?
gonna be here 'cause I saw him.
No, I was playing soccer in my backyard.
Oh,
Yeah.
you have a soccer field in your backyard? I mean, a football pitch in your
You get a
backyard?
permit for that?
it's like a Harry Potter type thing. You go into this
Oh,
door
goodness.
Heck of a
and it just
backyard.
opens up.
Yeah.
No, we used to have chickens, right? We used to have
Yeah.
chicken coop, and we had burdock like forever. And we finally in the spring just scraped everything down, picked up a little bit of sod, and it's badminton. It's like the perfect badminton court. The kids, they like soccer better.
Wow. Wait till they're a little taller.
Yeah, I know.
Do you
This
think
must
you-
be thrilling. Thrilling video.
I'm sure everyone was just. That was.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's okay.
it was fun. We were just
Waiting
like,
for you.
yeah, on a live stream.
Look at this, and my feet don't touch it. Great.
Shove you back in there.
Do you want to trade chairs?
I almost fell over on this one. Get this back.
There we go.
Okay, well,
You want me to call the meeting?
yeah, I think you better.
All right, 6:35, and I'll call the meeting to order. We have Tim and Jay missing, so those are our mayor and absentee mayor. So we have to pick somebody to run the meeting.
I nominate Anton Moody to run our meeting.
It looks to be 2-1.
Sounds good. Do we need to vote on that, or is that good? All right. Open forum, anybody here to talk? Somebody's coming? Nope. All right, he's on the agenda. All right. There's a couple things that we got, additions to the consent agenda, additions to our packet. Anybody have anything they want to say about those things, or can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved with additions. Is it it's just the bill, right? That's the addition?
No, there's the 3 items on the bottom of the list. Not the.
Oh, right, okay.
You still all right
Perhaps
with
you
it?
just looked at that one.
The new one.
Silly me.
I will second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
All right. Public Works Facility update. Come on up.
Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is John Hagenmiller of Goff Construction, and I'm here to give you an update on the Public Works building on top of the hill. Right now, we've poured over 3/4 of the building, and our last concrete pour is scheduled for tomorrow. And starting next week, we'll start our steel stud framing. The doors, overhead doors and door frames should be showing up next week and the week of the 11th. Electrical, temporary power is going to be installed this Friday, and the mechanical electrical rough-in will start next week after the framing is started. So, and then for exterior work, we're going to start prepping for the concrete on the exterior, and then do our final grade on the paved areas for asphalt, and asphalt will follow. We haven't actually scheduled that for a date yet, but it should be following the week of the 11th or that following week. Also, the roofing is to be delivered to our subcontractor, I think, next Friday. So it'll be about a week or so until that is formed up, and then they'll deliver it to the site and start installing that. And that's about it for the 2 or 2.5 week update. Any questions?
It looks pretty like, wow, things are moving along pretty good. You feel pretty
Yeah,
good
they are
about it?
going pretty good. So the weather's held out, and plus now we're able to work inside. So far the concrete pours have gone pretty well. We should get our first tests on the concrete next couple days. So, but everything that's come out of Thorson has been really good. Getting to at least 3/4% on the strength within 7 days. So,
Very good.
so.
Thanks.
And again, feel free to stop at the trailer and swing in and say hi. And
Have you guys gone and peed?
No?
I just like when I
Every
go
time
for
I drive.
radio and drive by,
Yeah.
I kind of stop.
Oh, yeah.
and pee.
Oh, you just,
I need to walk around.
Yeah, we probably should.
Make it happen.
We should go.
Start to look.
yeah, and if you want to schedule a true walkthrough, just let me know. You know, it could be after hours. It doesn't matter. You still could walk the site and take a look at everything.
Yeah.
So,
Infrastructure stuff is mostly, I think I saw that when that stuff was happening. It seemed
Yeah,
to be
there's
pretty
a
mess.
few items that we still have to probably install, but we can't install until the unit heaters go up. There has to be some additional bracing on some of the bar joists,
Okay.
but we don't have the exact location where we're going to set it, so we don't want to guess at it. So,
Did anything ever come about looking at this loads, that was a conversation with the solar, the future solar, is there any resolution to that?
Yeah, we did get an estimate of $30,000 to $50,000 to do additional bracing on the roof. It would actually be just more roof joists installed.
yeah.
So,
But then
we're still waiting for the PUC to finish their conversation with Simpo on whether or not they're going to even install any.
Sure.
And at 30 to 50,000, it would probably be cheaper to just put them on the ground. So,
We'll put them up where it's designed for it, but then any
Yeah.
additional put down on the ground?
yeah.
Okay. Just keeping it out there, I didn't know, I hadn't heard anything or seen anything.
Yeah, that's all pretty brand new information. So,
Yep, and we should be getting that proposal request, I think, I thought they said late this week, possibly for the solar, so that'll all be priced out then.
Did anything ever happen with the cold storage building? There was conversation with because of the way that the spec was written on the,
Yeah, they changed it around a little bit to where we got, actually you purchased a Lester building,
weird.
and the shop drawing should be in this week, and they have us scheduled for end of September, first part of October. So,
yeah, we decided to move on that while we had everyone there.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else, you guys, or you got anything else?
I'm just sort of glad there isn't anything else
Yeah.
big. This
Yeah.
is like nice when you can just say that everything.
it's going pretty good, and the contractor's been pretty responsive and responsible. Yeah, actually, we had scheduled just for, I think it was 1 or 2 days for the concrete pour, but with the Wurzbo, or the in-floor heat, and trying to pour that to make sure it stays intact,
Yeah.
we split it up in 4 different pours.
Yeah.
And, it's limitations on what type of pump truck or conveyor truck you can get in there, or to get the concrete in. So that actually drew out a little bit longer than expected, but we're still projecting to have you guys move in late in October, so.
Great.
Oh,
Yeah, that's awesome.
so-
Okay.
After the big party, of course.
Right.
Yeah,
Bar nights.
maybe not
Yeah.
after, but we will have one.
Could it be in the building?
Is that going to be
Yeah.
the combination groundbreaking?
Yeah, sure. We'll go put some shovels in, there'll be some dirt somewhere.
Might be froze, but. So, and again, feel free to stop by or call me, whatever you like, so.
Awesome.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You
You
too.
too, thank you. All right, the stormwater plan RFP. Mike, take it away.
I'm sure you all tore through that in amazing detail. You've already approved the coastal program grant agreement that we're going to use to help pay for this, and Elena Berg, who's been here, I guess it's Hanson now, has been here a couple times this year to talk about stormwater planning and funding. We've been working with them at Soil and Water to put the funding plan together, but also to get this RFP put together. If you approve it, we will send it out. She's given me a list of contractors that we can send it directly to, and we're asking for proposals to be returned by September 15th, which is approximately 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. We're hoping to get people started in October and really do the majority of the field work yet this year and finish with that. And then turn around in the winter in January and February and do the goal setting and actually identify the priority items, whether they be policy changes or projects that we would want to plan on in the future. So that's that. We don't have a budget included in here. And, we do have some differences of opinion in a pretty wide range about what it might end up costing. So I guess I expect the responses will come back with a fairly wide range. One of the things that we asked for was that they break down their budget by task so that we have an ability to negotiate the scope of work a little bit to fit a budget that we decide we're comfortable with. So both of those things are going to just kind of stay fluid until we get our proposals back. So please approve this and we'll get moving on it.
Great.
Make a motion to approve the stormwater plan RFP.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Passes. North House lease. We've all, you want to talk about it?
I'll just talk a little bit about it. Chris has had a little bit of time to go over the existing document. You've all seen the existing document now. And Chris and my conversations, there's a lot of things in there that need to get adjusted and changed just because of it was written in 2004 by a different attorney and things have changed. So don't worry too much about the specific legal terms and conditions that are in that document. It's more about the policy decisions that document represents, the way that it operates, that we don't anticipate having to change much. But then you had asked for this time to just talk about the concept of the lease and in anticipation of potentially making a decision about it at your next meeting, so.
I'm kind of bummed out without Jay and Tim here. This is
Yeah.
kind of not serving the purpose it's supposed to serve.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And Tim in particular, I felt like had some thoughts. And did he leave any notes or say anything to you?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, we can obviously talk about it, but I kind of wish they were here.
Yeah. I think we need to all talk about it.
I think so too.
So we need to have a special meeting then in order to,
If we want to keep on that same schedule.
yeah.
Well, you could potentially all talk about it at your next regular meeting
Sure.
and maybe decide something then, but maybe not, just depending upon what the issues were. I think one of the values of having this intermediary conversation is if there was any additional information that you needed to see to help make a decision, this is a time you could ask for it, and we can go and try and gather it. So I don't know if anybody has anything like that, or if you think you know what you need to know and you just have to think it over and talk it over with each other.
That's, I guess, where I was. I wanted to just be able to have dialogue.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't so much more information anymore, especially like you said, if Chris already went through and is just writing up a correct lease and then whatever. But yeah, I wanted to sit down. I certainly wanted to hear what everyone else had to say and talk some things through. So, and I didn't want to put Greg back on the schedule. I mean, he put a lot of effort into starting this early so we could be ready on time to do this. So then I don't feel right about waiting till the next meeting, because that was the meeting we promised him we'd be ready to go. So, do we have time to have a special meeting? I mean, I
Oh,
know
yeah.
you have notice to call it, right?
Yeah,
72
if you want it,
Oh,
we
okay.
can do it sometime next week yet. Which it's just gonna be difficult to schedule without Jay and Tim here. So, if you wanna pick a few tentative times, then we can tell them they have to come.
Yeah, well, I didn't find anything in the current lease that was alarming, and I'm not really sure what specifics need to be changed or whatever, but did you guys have any, thoughts about the current lease, or is there any, as far as its, the intent of it, or?
Yeah, just kind of what we talked about a little bit last week, or I mean last meeting. And yeah, I did want to hear what Tim, yeah, I guess I really want to sit down as a group.
Well,
and
right,
get
oh yeah,
this
but I
done.
was just,
But in the current, I
Yeah.
don't have.
okay.
So do we put out dates that'll work for the three of us and to them?
I have no phone.
We have
Calendar.
a planning
Have
commission
your
meeting
phone.
It's at home on the table.
Oh.
scheduled for next Wednesday.
You have what
A
scheduled?
planning commission meeting scheduled for next Wednesday at 4, which will most likely be done by 5, and Tim will be here. So if next Wednesday at 5 or so works for people, I think that's a good tentative time to try for.
I think so.
I think, as far as I'm concerned, that's fine by me right now.
The 6th?
Typically, when I don't have a council meeting, Beth has a board meeting, so that might not work. That should be fine. That'll be fine.
Well, can we just table this for now and say, let's
Yeah.
do
Yep, and
Let's shoot for
we'll make an
the-
attempt to
let's shoot
schedule and we'll
for
shoot
5
for
o'clock.
Wednesday.
night on the 6th?
So, but while these guys are here, any questions? Anything, further questions, concerns?
No, I just think I want to talk with you.
Talk with it, yeah.
Unless there's something in particular, did you have something you wanted to let us know?
Any further?
I mean, that you came here to let us know about?
We wanted to, one, just be here for the discussion, because we're curious too. Two, we wanted to kind of report on our economic impact study. which
Oh,
we
yeah.
promised you.
Yeah.
So, it's scheduled for release probably next Thursday or Friday. In the past 10 years, North House has, so our impact last study was about $6.1 million direct and then indirect impact. So we've grown 81% since then. So if you do math, you know that that's not quite double, right? So it's someplace over $10 million a year. And I did bring a summary of user day growth over the past 8 years for North House. And what's exciting to me, you saw a version of this kind of in the last packet. Okay, there you go. If you look at the little bar charts for each month, and you look in the middle, it shows you what happens in the summer in North House. And you'll see that those bars kind of are in July, in June, in August, they're kind of flat. There's occasional excitement, you can see that for sure. But look at January, and look at February, and look at March, and look at September, and look at October, and look at November. You know, and all those stair steps go up from left to right. And so what's really clear is, as we're evolving as a school, the bulk of our expanding economic impact is happening in those off-season months. And, and that's great for North House. It's great for Grand Marais and Cook County too. So one of the things that the economic impact study explores is kind of this idea of how our programmatic vitality and therefore economic momentum, how it meshes with or aligns on the calendar year differently than the typical tourism calendar, which is relevant to economic impact, if that makes sense the way I've said it. So, so I just want to make sure I don't have a hard economic impact study. I've got a number, $10.1 million, $10.6 million, and a little bit of programmatic data to help you think about where that impact is arriving within our community. And the one interesting metric that maybe is also worth noting is the analysis suggests that for every dollar spent on tuition, there's $17 of impact. So for every dollar somebody spends on a boat building class or a fibrous class, there's $17 that arrives in this county, or of generated economic impact. So those are great numbers to think about how it all fits together. So I think that's...
Yeah, and as a business, as the Pie Place over the last 20 years, and we've been in partnership with the North House since the beginning, we really started tracking this from a business model ourselves, and it's like, oh my gosh, in the beginning of our time here, months that would have been really lean became a lot busier, and we had people coming in because they were taking classes. So, that meant for us more people coming to the restaurant and now more people coming to the hotel. So just as a business, we've seen this, without even looking at this, we can track it in our own numbers and our own experience with people coming, so. Yeah.
Well, that'd be neat to see that fall.
Yeah, I'll get it to you as soon as I can.
Thursday or Friday, you say, eh?
Thursday or Friday.
So should we?
Next week.
Okay.
Just a quick, before I forget, so can we pick a couple other times just in case Wednesday doesn't work? If we have to, like Jay's, well, since there's no way you can be there or something. I mean, do you have some other, anything time Monday or Tuesday just in case?
I'm really blind right now
Well, not Monday.
without my phone.
Well, that's right, because you're officially, whatever.
Yeah, it's a holiday. Can't
Okay.
meet on Monday.
Great.
Should we do Sunday? I think we should
I'll
shoot
just
for
go home
Wednesday.
and just
Yeah, should I just go home quick?
That'd be great.
Well, let's, okay,
Let's just shoot
all
for
right.
Wednesday.
Because I can't go later into the week next week. I got personal stuff, so
Okay.
like Wednesday will be it. But if you think
All right.
Tuesday you
That's kinda
can do
where I'm at,
it,
too.
Well, I'll do my best to actually personally contact these folks tomorrow and pressure them into coming on Wednesday or picking a time on Tuesday that
okay. All right, thank you.
So
Thank you guys.
the
for
6th.
making- That's appreciate it.
It's a
Get done.
big decision.
But
I think for us, your job is to come and say how wonderful North House is and what a great tenant you are. Our job is to make sure we're doing what's best for the city and making sure that we're getting a good lease and people see that we're being respectful of the property as it is, and it's high-value property, and that we're doing the best. That's all. It all meets together, and you guys do an outstanding job running your deal, and we just have to make sure we do well by what's good for the city. And Tim did make comment last week, and if you remember, or last time, and it's like, okay, well, what is he thinking? I don't think we know. Maybe you do. You maybe talk to him, I don't know, but.
no, you guys need time for that conversation. That's good.
September 6th at 5, is that the?
that's our tentative.
Okay.
Yeah.
You go to the planning and zoning meeting first too, if you kind of want to just go.
If you want to, yeah, it'd be fun.
So that's at 4? Okay.
Actually, don't. Really? Well, we prefer
can't-
not to have a quorum of the council.
Yeah.
though.
We can't all show
Even though
up.
it's posted as a public meeting, it just gets a little fuzzy. So,
I want to go, so.
Oh, sure.
Okay, I'll just stay and put away stock at the store.
There you go.
Okay.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not here.
Thanks. Sorry we couldn't.
Yeah, sorry.
You're doing good.
It didn't work
Great.
out tonight, but thank you for showing up.
So then, that leads us to council and staff reports. David?
I missed the YMCA advisory council meeting, so nothing to report there. I should probably announce, though, that we're pursuing property outside of the city limits and intending to move. I don't know when that'll be.
Oh, you personally?
My
We're done
family-
talking about the why.
Yeah.
Second, I'm like, huh?
Yeah, no, I
Okay.
missed that. Yeah,
Oh,
my
good.
family. And so I don't have any idea when that move will happen, but at which point I need to resign and we fill a position, I guess, just through applicate or however the council decides, I suppose.
Well, it depends on when you resign.
Okay.
So, but at this point, you've got less than half your term left, so an appointment
Right.
with whatever process the council wants to use would be appropriate.
So there's that.
Well,
Bummer.
that's not good news. But you hate to say that because obviously you're excited to go have a different home location, right?
I'm excited he's leaving.
All right.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
That was just
Are
too
you?
easy, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, it's
Terrific.
certainly mixed. It's exciting.
Well, there's time, right? You'll know in weeks, couple weeks.
The very earliest would be November 15th. It's possible it'll be in spring. Sometime in between then.
That point.
Something like that.
Is that like something where we're going to just like annex that property into the city? Kind of
Yeah, how far are you going?
Oh, yeah, out on 44, so. that's
Yeah,
a
that'll be
Pike Lake
controversial.
Road, Yeah,
That could be quite controversial.
but I don't know, if you guys just want to get that part, that parcel annexed.
Sure. Could do that.
And if you're wondering why, it's primarily because of taxes that we're moving now in the city.
Wow, you are really something.
So I'm gonna move out, lose my homestead in the city, and then complain about the taxes in the city, because I'm still gonna own the property, but.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so let's
You'll
go back
hear
to the
from me.
why for
That's
a
it.
moment.
Yeah, I missed the council meeting. with the why.
Please.
I'm just gonna change the
Back to
topic really
anything?
fast. Yeah. So Cooperation Station is back in business, I understand,
Yep.
but the Y is still carrying on with what they were doing before? I mean, they haven't made any changes. Are they running less of a Y, less of a?
Well, I missed that entire conversation, but my understanding, so what I do know is that they were basically renting from the cooperation
Mhm.
station,
Yeah.
trying to do a partnership. There was talk of property exchange. The Y applied for a grant to do that, was denied, and then from there, things did not seem to work out for any kind of exchange. And so then the council decided to pull out of that building
Mhm.
and then use space in the Y building. And that's, I think, the whole story there.
So like their licenses and whatever, they're still taking care of as many children as they did as they have been. Like, they haven't stepped back on that.
I don't believe so, and I think they might be actually expanding by trying to get a different license to have to be a center, a
Okay.
child care center, which is a different category and all that. So,
Oh, okay.
but I know there's still it's still an issue, child care in
Sure.
Cook County. So
Mhm.
still a real need for that.
Yeah, see the community
Mm-hmm.
voted no to doing that.
Mm-hmm. So sorry I missed that meeting. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, I'm not moving.
Good.
Okay.
And do you have any updates? You
Mm,
didn't go to the meeting, I didn't.
No, I have not.
Kim went to a meeting.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
I had a couple questions, but Kim, if you want to share with your meeting.
You can ask
first.
questions.
Well, so my I just was wondering, I see a lot of yellow vests walking up and down Highway 61, which look like surveyors or engineers of some sort. And so I'm wondering where the MnDOT Highway 61 visioning, where that's at.
Yeah.
Or is it still nowhere?
No, it's
Oh.
not nowhere. Is that
Okay.
too many negatives?
No?
Let's provide a little. In any case, we had a meeting yesterday with the group that's been functioning as a steering committee, minus Jay and Tim, and the MnDOT District 1 leadership team that's been attempting to help get this design process back on track. And they told us that our project manager is been reassigned. She's taking on the interchange project in Duluth, which is a pretty substantial, size project that's coming up. And so they're then with their program that they have now, they've got some funding, so they've got quite a few projects rolling. They don't have nearly enough resources in-house to deal with them all. So they'll be bringing on a project management engineer from SEH to take over this project. And there may be a few other changes, and just kind of go back and revisit the whole decision-making process and make sure we're all satisfied with where things are at. And then try to address some of the concerns that we've been bringing to them about the interactions between the right-of-way and the adjacent properties, and then some really tough ones in particular, and then just all of our issues that we've identified from the beginning, the safe crossings and traffic safety and parking and stormwater and those sorts of things. So it seems like they've identified a path forward that might be able to work for us, which is really promising. We haven't really started to walk down it very far yet, so I don't know yet.
Is that the woman that was here for those meetings?
Yeah,
she's
she's
been
been reassigned to, she's taken on that much bigger project in Duluth, so.
Did you say at one point that they said the lighting is our choice as well?
Yeah, oh, yes. They said a lot of things about the lighting and who pays for what and what they might do and what they don't do. And I don't think we have a clear picture yet of how that's going to work. But I know that it'll be mainly a community decision about the style, placement,
Really?
number of lights, and also mainly funded by the community, the lighting.
Oh.
So now we have this $750,000 of grant funds that are a part of the project budget, and that can pay for those types of things. So it's a few steps down the road before we start talking about making those types of financial decisions, but that's really the goal of this design process, to let the community's vision get into the project, to then start making decisions about how to spend that money and what to invest in to achieve safe crossings and traffic safety and parking and all those other things.
So they don't have certain requirements around some of those. I thought maybe they had.
Yeah, and it's really been confusing with different stories about what they do, anywhere from they don't do lighting, which seems strange, to there are requirements that are pretty clear, to they'll do whatever we want and they want us to tell them what we want to do. And I just think we need a little more help from them in figuring out how to move forward. The other piece of it is that MnDOT is going to bring CJ back as a community advocate as a part of the design process. So it's a really promising move that they're recognizing the usefulness of that, and that they're interested in working with CJ, who has such a history with this project, and that'll be a real,
And their community too.
yeah.
So what do you think brought that whole change? I mean, for you guys felt like you were butting heads for so long. How come you just?
We went to the district, right?
Well, I think we've continued to try to be clear with feedback to the district leadership about what's working and what's not, and I think they're trying to be responsive to that.
So finally, yeah, it's working.
Yeah.
And, like, not to harp on the light thing, but yeah, I found that interesting because I'm thinking so much of the time, even when I was on the park board, I'd hear, well, you can't do that because it's MnDOT. You can't do this because it's MnDOT.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, lighting, here we go. And then just my personal opinions, but all that lighting when you first come into town is like, oh my God,
Yeah.
why do we have all that?
MnDOT.
Yeah, so I just thought, by the time they come through town, there will be again.
Yeah.
To
Now
the point
that
where nobody remembers to turn on their car lights.
was at a different time. It was 2003, and MnDOT's policies back then were different. So they paid for all those. They designed and paid for all those. There really wasn't a public visioning or design
Oh, sure.
process that would have helped identify what we wanted to see up there. And they've kind of gone all the way the other direction now, where they're not necessarily going to do much for lighting, and unless the community says. So that's probably a better place to start from.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot better. I just assumed they'd come in and say you have to do this, but great.
Yeah.
Well, that's great news.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Yeah, no, that's.
efforts.
Positive.
You see that, them walking, I mean, maybe they're not associated, I don't know. if that-
I'm not sure what that group is. I just anecdotally, I think they're doing an ADA assessment of intersections based on what I've heard, a description of them. I haven't seen that.
Well, I saw
But-
the
I
double
saw
track.
that too.
But that was already done a year ago too, or 6 months ago, and so I'm not sure who all is.
They've been back
Is up here
around a
doing
lot during the
things.
survey, or the last summer and
Yeah.
this summer.
And there's just a lot of work yet that needs to be done like that. So you'll see them around for a while, I can imagine.
And I saw the best at double track, so I mean, that's not in scope of,
Having lunch maybe?
yeah, that's possible. It didn't look like it though. It seemed like they're,
Did you have other questions?
There was one, that's okay, I'm good for now.
All right, Kim's meeting.
Kim's meeting.
So I went to our insurance advisory committee meeting, and it looks really good for the county and the hospital, but not so good for the city. We're looking at a 29% increase in our health insurance if we keep the same plan. So we're going to need to be putting that in our budget and then talking with the union about possible other options.
why is that 29% increase?
Well, the
Experience rating.
It's your experience rating, and it would have been much worse if we were not in the pool for some rate smoothing.
Sure.
So we have a number of high claims. We have a small group.
Sure. Yeah, I
Yeah.
suppose if there's only,
It only takes a couple, yeah. So we had 10% in the budget drafts that you've seen. And it's going to be 29 instead, which is pretty significant.
yeah.
That's $20,000+ in the levy just for that additional increase
That's 1%?
of the levy.
Yeah,
No, that's 3.
3%.
Yeah,
So,
2.5.
are we down any staff-wise?
Yeah, 'cause
The
it's out of
percentage
that,
goes up, but do we have less staff to insure?
Well, today we do.
Yeah.
That won't last, and we're not building the budget around today's staffing because we know that we're intending to get back to where we were. So I still think we'll end up with one less next year for most of the year, but that's not a property tax position. It'll be a utility position that will be down, so it won't make any effect on the levy conversation.
Because Jan was utilities, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And obviously Mike was.
Yep, so Jan and Mike are, both utility positions that we're not gonna have it be quite so clear cut for the administrative positions anymore. They're all gonna be split up amongst all the different departments of funding sources, which is more representative of how those positions function. So there's some rebalancing of where we're putting Kim's and my salaries, for instance, in the budget next year, but then also taking on some of Jan's position, at least not the job description, but that function, some of that into the levy, and then It's actually, pretty close in terms of the full-time equivalents that are getting funded in the levy versus in the utility departments, other than Mike's position, we're down in the electric, and we still have to decide whether we're gonna add another one or not. And I think we wanna really see if we offer this administrative technician type position, if that can provide enough assistance that Matt and Jeff can function as a electric department without having a third person as another supervisor added to two linemen. And then we'll make a decision if we want to add another position as an apprentice instead. Just, we're going to have to take some time to let that shake out and see.
Just curious, are there many companies that even to pick from, or you just don't, like, how many people actually offer insurance that you can even pick from?
Well,
I know it's been pretty limited in the past.
Well, we're a member of a Northeast Service Cooperative. That's where we get our insurance from.
Mhm.
And so school districts, counties, and cities that are in this region, the Northeast region, all pool together in that organization. And they kind of shop around for plans, and it's through them that we would be able to get different plans. So we don't necessarily go out on our own and ask for directly from an insurance company a quote.
But even
for
through them,
plans.
is there any choice? I'm just,
there will be choices for other plans, higher deductibles, different types.
but
of-
not different
Not for
companies.
providers.
The
That's
last
what I was.
time I got a quote from a different provider, they were actually higher than this group.
Because it
They
seems to
couldn't.
be the issue that there just aren't even people, enough
You know,
companies.
in the past years, we've had better claims rating than the county and the hospital. You saw their increases be higher than ours. This year, our claims are higher, and that's why we're part of the pool to try and smooth out these bumps. But
Sure.
But it's not that smooth.
it's not that smooth. Yeah.
No. Well, it
Yeah, and
happens.
you don't have
Without the
500
pool, it would have been 40%.
employees.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
People that get sick.
Yeah.
well, things just bad news for everybody, but it has been for years. But I was just curious, because it just seems like in a lot of counties and different places, they're just, companies aren't even offering up that they want to cover them.
Well, it makes it really difficult for us to do staffing decisions when it's a $20,000 question of whether we're going to offer a full-time position or not before we even pay them a dime. It's just, makes it extremely difficult. And yet, if you want quality, good, skilled people, that's what you need to do. And it's just, it gets harder and harder.
Well, it's like that for everybody.
Yeah.
It's
All right. So when's our next, I didn't see that. Do we have another budget meeting set up?
We will talk about call it the final draft budget at your next meeting.
Okay.
And we'll have the whole picture put together. We're also going to look at 2019, just kind of a ghost budget for 2019, because one of the things that's going to happen that we talked about at our work session was that the debt payment for the Public Works facility in 2018 is just a preliminary, and it's going to increase pretty substantially in 2019. So we want to look at the 2 years of how that's going to affect our levy and our budget, just to make sure we know where we're at. And then in that meeting in September, you'll set the preliminary levy, which is the number that it can't increase from without some pretty special circumstances occurring. And we'll then take the next few months to figure out some of the issues that we have questions about, do contract negotiations with the union, talk to some of the department heads that are not general fund, like Chris in the liquor store, and just kind of get all of our other budgetary ducks in a row. And in December, then you'll be setting the actual levy, if you're still here, Dave. Yeah.
We hope you'll come to watch anyways, even if you don't.
Yeah, we expect you at the Truth and Taxation hearing after those previous remarks.
You better believe it.
Oh, boy.
All right.
Oh, so then I have a couple questions. You done?
Nope. No, I was gonna.
Oh, ask your last
He was
question.
gonna
then.
I was
adjourn.
gonna-
I thought you meant like,
He was
oh,
just
you
gonna-
were ready to
Oh,
say
yeah.
adjourn.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm gonna really annoy you then. So where,
Jay's not here,
any
so someone's
updates?
got to.
Yeah, but that's your job.
I'm doing it.
Burning all my.
The
You
extra
didn't
one.
like even once ask, wait a minute, I just remembered something.
No, I've learned.
So where are we with all the community visioning stuff? Anything? I mean,
Yeah, it's the same place what the report last time was, that
Just-
early September, we're gonna have a draft of the comprehensive plan. And then
Okay.
we're gonna go back and have all the people that have participated in this have an opportunity to review that draft, see where their input is, give us some feedback on it, talk about
Just-
anything we might have missed. That's where we're at. So it's basically being worked on by our consultants right now.
And then we have to still schedule a joint powers meeting.
That was the other thing.
Yeah, that's on Jay's list.
Really. And then do we still have to have a little personnel meeting?
Yeah, probably more than one. But
Okay.
we haven't had them scheduled yet, so.
Okay. And then I know I'm probably holding up the potty talk meetings because I promised you I would type all that stuff and get that info. So that was on my list of things
Indeed.
to do. So I'll just quietly not say anything more about that. Okay, that was it.
Okay. All right, everybody's good. I think we're good.
All right.
Meeting's adjourned.